Well then, good freaking morning, you two. Oh yeah. This is KingCobraJFS on the video. Oh, would you look at that? My hair sure has gotten long. Holy shit. That's what's up. So I got a little drunk last night. And yeah, that was and I made a call from one of my friends saying, "Hey, buddy, we'll come over and visit for a minute and catch up." I think it's Stephanie calling me. It turns out it wasn't. It was someone else. And then, you know, Stephanie sends me a text, says we won't be able to visit. Rides here. We were at the bar last night, and I texted back, "Sounds good to me." That's how drunk I was last night. That might have come off as a little harsh, but if it's just, I didn't, of course, couldn't tell. I couldn't barely read the texts. I was just like a little too hammered last night. And just kidding, I wasn't too hammered, but I was hammered enough where I couldn't tell what the text was. So I wasn't too hammered, but hammer time. You won't be seeing me on YouTube for a couple of weeks because I'll be off on holiday leave and stuff. So, yeah. Just thought I'd let you all know so you don't, like, freak out or nothing. You know, some of you wanting your, King Cobra video fix, right? As hammered as I got last night, oh, look at that. No fucking hangover. How about that? I drank enough to get a good buzz going. I didn't drink enough to get a hangover. Just plain and smart with your alcohol, right? Of course, I have a very high tolerance to alcohol, so go figure. People say with these muscles I look like Dazing from that one band, which I'm trying to remember the name of. Let's see, Gregoroth, I believe is the name of it. Yeah. Sweet. If I pronounced the name wrong, if I said the name of the band wrong, I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments section like they always do, because they've got nothing better to do with their lives. So I posted a picture on Facebook, and someone was like, this is funny shit, because I posted a picture on Facebook, and the comments are quite deliciously funny. Let's go to the Facebook here. So I posted a picture, and someone said, first comment is this the girlfriend you don't have? Weird. You look weird in this pic, GKC. You've changed, man. You've changed. 8 out of 10 would look at while violating produce. And, of course, to confirm this, I'm like, that's not me in this pic, haha. Very funny to the first commenter, you know. And for whatever reason, I took that picture and made a cover photo with it, so, because I was, yeah. Because I was, I don't know where I was. I do that sometimes, get the mood to change. I'll check this out. U.S. representative at pot hearing, people don't smoke marijuana and beat up their wives, right? Right?
Mr. Botticelli, your hands are tied on Schedule 1. But it is ludicrous, absurd, crazy to have marijuana in the same level as heroin. Ask the late Philip Seymour Hoffman if you could. Nobody dies from marijuana. People die from heroin. And every second that we spend in this country trying to enforce marijuana laws is a second that we're not enforcing heroin laws. And heroin and meth are the two drugs that are ravaging our country. And every death, including Mr. Hoffman's, is partly the responsibility of the federal government's drug priorities for not putting total emphasis on the drugs that kill, that cause people to be addicted and have to steal to support their habit.
Yeah.
And heroin and meth is where all of your priorities should be. And it's not just Mr. Hoffman, a brilliant actor at 46 years of age, who first went to prescription drugs and then came back to heroin. That's our two major issues, I guess. I had a young friend, son of a girl I dated, who died of a heroin overdose about 2 years ago. I went to a party in Memphis recently, not Vermont, where the governor spent his entire State of the State hour address talking about the ravages of heroin in his state, but Memphis, Tennessee, where 4 women, give or take my age.
4, you say?
Well, maybe 15 years younger. Sometimes I lose for
4 people, you say? I'm sorry, YouTube, but checking the Facebook, and Normal, Wyoming posted a speech. U.S. representative at pot hearing. People don't smoke marijuana and beat up their wives. And I'm just watching this like I've never seen this before, and then he just has to pop up with that freaking number. How many states are legal for exactly?
Perspective. Talked about heroin being a great problem among their children and in the Memphis community, and about another young man who had died of heroin. Heroin is getting into the arms of young people. And when we put marijuana on the same level as heroin and LSD and meth and crack and cocaine, we are telling young people not to listen to the adults about the ravages and the problems, and they don't listen because they know you're wrong. Because as Mr. Micah said, we know a lot of young people smoke marijuana. They shouldn't. Young people should be being young people. The most precious commodity in the world is time. Young people have got lots of time. Mr. Mike and I don't have that much more time. That's just the realities. And when you're young, enjoy being young. Playing ball, taking it easy, just doing kids things and learning. And you shouldn't be doing drugs, but they are. And we need to make sure that we keep them alive. We need to educate them. But our efforts ought to be toward meth and heroin. That's where effort should be. And it shouldn't be Schedule 1. Anybody that goes to jail for marijuana is a crime. when people for possession are taking their liberties away. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of resources. It's a crime committed by our government. There is a cultural lag in this country, and this Congress is a leader in it. With all due respect, you should be listening to scientists. I understand the parents who are grieved because their child died of an overdose. They didn't overdose on marijuana. And you're listening to them rather than the scientists? Mr. Botticelli, it may go back to A Few Good Men, the movie, Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth. The truth is the drug war failed. Your direction on marijuana is a failure. Get to dealing and saving kids from heroin overdoses. My young 22-year-old friend died of a heroin overdose. Yeah, he smoked marijuana, probably the first thing he did. But that's not why he smoked heroin or shot it up. Maybe he did it because he heard people like you saying they're all bad and they're all terrible and you can't deal with the truth, and tell them, well, maybe marijuana doesn't kill you. Heroin does and meth does. They're different. And until you deal with the truth, the kids aren't going to believe you at all. Now, you talked about alcohol, and you may have gotten to this. Cirrhosis of the liver, pretty serious thing. Violence against spouses and women. People don't smoke marijuana and beat up their wives and girlfriends. They get drunk. Sometimes they beat up their wives and girlfriends. And I know you've got your statistics. I would debate your statistics. And if you get into your statistics about the amount of people who had marijuana in their system who were arrested had fatal accidents, I would submit they probably had other drugs in their system, like cocaine or crack in addition to the marijuana, or they had alcohol and marijuana wasn't the cause. Because what I understand is people who smoke marijuana, mostly they drive slower and they look out for the cops. They don't drive fast and wild like people do on alcohol and cause deaths. Maybe the reason there's so many more people smoking marijuana now is because they're not listening. And maybe they're doing the other drugs too. But it also shows that the drug war has been a failure. It's been a serious failure. Harry Anslinger started. You know who Harry Anslinger is, don't you?
I do not, unfortunately.
Well, you should, because he's your great-grandfather. He started this war in the 30s, and he was tuned out too. And he did it to get the American public had problems, which sometimes I think we still got them, with Hispanics and Mexicans coming into this country. And it was a war on Hispanics and African Americans. And that's when they made marijuana illegal, was in the 30s. And it was all directed at those people. And Latinos are just as much discriminated against as African Americans in disparate arrests. It still continues to this day. It's 85 years since Anslinger started this. And it's the fact that we spend so much time arresting people is sinful. You talked about the overall effects of marijuana. Again, you can't name one person who's died from an overdose of marijuana, can you?
That's my knowledge.
Right. And you say the cumulative effects. Do you know people, possibly, or heard of people who smoke marijuana who are corporate giants, run banks, run major corporations? Do you know about these people?
Yes, sir, but I also know an equal number of people. I know a substantial number of people who also have gone on to develop significant disorders who have smoked marijuana. Again, 1 in 9 people who try marijuana develop a dependency, and we know that particularly those kids who use it earlier in their...
Kids shouldn't use it. Kids shouldn't use it ever. And at age 18, people shouldn't be arrested for it. Mm-hmm. Maybe it should be 21. But kids shouldn't use it. That's something we all agree on. But the fact is, we need to put our priorities toward heroin and meth. What percentage of your budget goes towards heroin addiction?
So I don't think we necessarily slice our budget, our demand reduction budget, based on drugs. Again, our prevention efforts are focused on preventing drug use.
Isn't that a mistake when people die from heroin in great numbers that the Vermont governor spends his entire state of the state on heroin use? And we don't distinguish and try to save people's lives? That's when you knock people over at the corner store. It's not to get money to buy a donut because you're high. It's to buy heroin because you're hooked. That causes people to die. What percentage of your budget goes towards heroin addiction.
So I don't think we necessarily slice our budget, our demand reduction budget, based on drugs. Again, our prevention efforts are focused on preventing drug use of multiple.
Isn't that a mistake when people die from heroin in great numbers that the Vermont governor spends his entire state of the state on heroin use? And we don't distinguish and try to save people's lives? That's when you knock people over at the corner store. It's not to get money to buy a donut because you're high. It's to buy heroin because you're hooked. That causes people to die.
Our office in 2011, I think, acknowledged the burgeoning prescription drug and opiate epidemic that we have in the United States. In 2011, we released a plan that looks at dealing with the prescription drug abuse and opiate issues.
Let me ask you, my time's about to run out in May. Let me ask you one thing. I corresponded back in 2011 with your predecessor, Kirliowski.
Kurlikowski, he's actually the current director now.
Is he? He said back then that there was no particular, they haven't found any medical use. To date, however, the FDA and the Institute of Medicine have not found smoked marijuana to be a safe or effective medicine for any condition, nor has any medical association come out in favor of smoked marijuana for widespread medical use. I think that medical associations have, but are you not aware of the fact that people use smoked marijuana to get them through cancer treatment, nausea?
I do, sir, and it's never been our office's position to either to arrest people who've been using medical marijuana. I think it's important for us, and again, unfortunately, that the FDA is not here. You know, that it's the FDA process that ultimately determines the scientific efficacy of a.
But couldn't you try to influence it? Shouldn't that be part of your job? I had a buddy who was a SEAL. He died of pancreatic cancer. So when he was he smoked marijuana at the end. His mother said it's the only thing that makes oral smile or eat. So that was pretty good.
So our role in this is to rely on the FDA scientific process to determine. That's our influencing role, is to rely on the science. I would also say, and I find it unfortunate, and I think I would ask the chairman to invite Dr. Nora Volkow, who's the director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, because that's where our policy and our science is derived from. We are a science-based office and a policy-based office. And I think if you listen to Dr. Volkow, who is not involved in the political discussion around substance use and marijuana, she will lay out for you the scientific evidence that.
Well, let me ask you this. You are prohibited by law from using any funds to study marijuana legalization for medicinal purposes or any other reason. You're the only office in the federal government that's restricted in that way, and you're required to oppose any scheduling of Schedule 1 substances, rescheduling like marijuana, that have been approved for medical purposes. Aren't you troubled by these constraints, and don't you think that your expertise should be allowed to be used and study science and contribute to a positive classification of drugs?
So I'm not familiar. Congress put that language in our reauthorization, and I'm actually not. I don't know the background of that.
Would you support legislation to allow you to participate and to voice your opinion and to use science as a basis for your determination?
Well, what I would do is support that federal agencies have the ability to do that. So
yours is prohibited by law. Should that restriction not be lifted?
Again, I think we'd have to have subsequent conversation in terms of.
You mean you think you should be muzzled?
I think that it's important that our office not involve itself in terms of given legislation or given activities. And I believe that was the genesis for that language, that the office not involve itself in state.
But the totality of the drug world, you need to participate. And if you realize that medical marijuana, as 20 states have found, can help people with cancer, with nausea, with those, maybe glaucoma. I mean, Montel Williams apparently has some benefits from it. Lots of people do. That you should be able to participate and set our drug policy straight. Your job should be to have a sane drug policy, not to be muzzled and handcuffed.
Yeah. From again, my standpoint, I'm happy to engage in fuller conversation, is that has not handcuffed other offices and other federal agencies who are tasked with that work from investigating.
In 1971, Congress created a commission that was headed by Governor Schaefer of Pennsylvania to study federal marijuana policy. That commission came out in favor of decriminalization, but it wasn't put in place. That was 1971. Would you support a new commission to study federal marijuana policy?
So I haven't seen that legislation. I'd be happy to have further conversation.
Would you? It's a concept.
Again, I think we'd be happy to have a conversation in terms of what that might look like.
Thank you, sir. I yield back the balance of it.
Well,
Indeed. Well said, Representative. Well said. So, yeah, thank you, Norman L. Wyoming, for posting that. That definitely, I woke up this morning feeling kind of, depressed a little bit, but, hearing people voice their opinions like that. 4 people he witnessed die on heroin. Okay? All my bitching and ranting about the drug war has caused some kind of shift in our society. Now you think to yourself, well, that's just Josh talking out of his ass. He's just blowing smoke. Need I mention the name of a religious group that calls himself Full Circle? Okay? There's 10 Things I Hate About You actor decides he's going to call his new belief system Full Circle. And he sat there saying, and I quote, I had a quartz heart gem bouncing on the altar, and then it like fell off. It was weird. Was it now? Excuse me. But wait a minute, you mean you're working with altars and crystals? Well, I do have an altar sitting in my apartment that I work with. Oh, wait. Let me just, what's this? Why, this looks like a staff with a crystal on the end of it. How about that? Okay, now you see, man, I saw that on CNN, and I'm like, there's no way, dude. I'm like, this guy thinks his full circle is, what he calls it, huh? Well, take a look at my symbol, YouTube, on my freaking arm. How about that? It's got, like, if I'm not mistaken, there's 1, and there's 4 right there, and 1 right there. That's 5 circles. See? You know what I'm saying? This 10 Things I Hate About You person thinks he's being original with it. That's quite delicious. Now, most Christians would be shocked to find out, but as it is Christmas, and most of you seem to think that Jesus was born on Christmas, even though he was born sometime in March or the summer. But Jesus Christ himself used marijuana for his healing works. Damn straight, YouTube. Damn straight. You think to yourself, bullshit. Okay, let's recall one particular story where an old man with a withered hand, his hand was like that, he could not move it. That might have been multiple sclerosis, or it might have been arthritis, and they don't know what exactly it was back then. And so Jesus Christ gave him some cannabis, and look at that. He was able to move his fucking hand again. He said, it's a miracle. Is it now? Or is it... the drug war has most definitely failed. I have to agree with him 100% on that. Especially because you're fighting a war over a fucking plant that is over 12,000 years old. Okay? Marijuana is older than most civilizations in these modern times. This plant, and I say it again, is over 12,000 years old. That's older than me, you, and anybody else out there at the moment. Okay? And you know what's funny? There is a street term for marijuana. Guess what it's called? Christmas trees. How about that? Happy fucking holidays, YouTube. As always, you know, I wish you all a happy and safe journey on your holiday travels as they approach. Get to your destinations and from your destinations safely. You know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, I was a little hammered, and I won't be able to come over and visit rides here. I thought the text said be coming over soon, rides here or something like that. But when they didn't show up, I was like, oh, so you don't want to visit me? I see how it is. Whatever. I'm not going to have issues with it. But then I look at my phone, and Stephanie's text says, out of sheer desperation, you know, she sends me a text, and I say, it's Stephanie, what are you thinking? I was thinking, if you want to be in an open relationship, if you don't, I understand. No, I don't. Oh, alright then. Won't be able to visit. Ride is here. Sounds good to me. Between that text and then the text after that, you know what I'm saying? Oh. You know, honestly, I don't blame Stephanie for not wanting to be in an open relationship with me, you know what I'm saying? If I was making her unhappy in the one we had for 2 years, so. Which is quite alright by me, you know. I'm 23, I'm fairly attractive. I play some mean guitar, I got this sexy long hair, and oh yeah, these bulging biceps to, you know, make you feel safe at night, ladies. That's what's up, you know. So I don't know when my next girlfriend will pop into my life, but it's bound to happen eventually, you know. It's only a matter of, as the representative put it, time. Yeah. And the only problem with this, though, is that I'm not exactly very confident around women. I mean, to a degree, I am. Very socially awkward, I feel. It's gotten a lot better than when I was younger, obviously, but, you know, most women, they see the long hair and the creepy eye makeup, and they're either turned on by it or creeped out by it, you know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is, though, you know. So it's nice there are people out there voicing their opinions on this, as he put it, failed drug war, yeah? And that is the fucking truth of it right there. He hit the nail right on the head with that one. Supposed to get up out of bed, have my morning cigarette, figured make a YouTube video, and then checking Facebook, and oh, what's this? And, yeah. Like, yeah, and I agree with him. I don't think children should be smoking pot either, unless they have a condition that requires them to have the use of cannabis, okay? Like, if these children have epileptic seizures, for instance, 200 to 300 a day, okay? And they've tried every known drug out there that's supposed to deal with this kind of thing, and the only thing that works is cannabis oil. In fact, there was a grower by the name of Josh who went and grew a strain of marijuana called Charlotte's Web. It was low in THC and high in CBD, and little girls like Charlotte can take this cannabis oil, and it reduces their seizures enough to where they can at least have a normal childhood, okay? Because when you're having 200 to 300 seizures a fucking day, to the point where it's so goddamn bad, you end up in they end up in a fucking hospital in a vegetative state. And then eventually they just die in a wheelchair. You know what I'm saying? These are children, okay? Those of you out there who have kids, and your child was faced with this horrific seizure-like disease, and the only thing that seemed to work was cannabis oil, and you're going to tell me, as a parent who loves your child unconditionally, that you would tell them you wouldn't let them have it, because it's illegal, it's still a Schedule 1. No, fuck that. You'd want to move to Colorado, wouldn't you? Yeah. You know, I thought about moving to Colorado a couple of times just because it's legal down there, but I can't afford it right now, and I was born in Casper, Wyoming, you know what I'm saying? It's my home, so. A freaking hospital that had the incident, you know the one I'm talking about, where this lady and her friend decided they're like going to huff. This is here in town, in Casper, huffing. Okay, do you think if pot was legal for a second, that they would be huffing? No, absolutely not. Anyway, this lady and her friend are all huffed up, and they decide they're going to go for a drive. And what ends up happening is they crash into the Wyoming Medical Center. Everyone in the car but the driver dies on impact. The driver goes to the hospital, and when she gets out, she's facing vehicular homicide charges. Nice. And you have to ask yourself, YouTube, if pot were legal in Wyoming, okay, if pot were legal in Wyoming, do you think they would have been huffed up? Not likely. Chances are they would have been sitting at home smoking some weed. They probably would have ordered a pizza or something. You know, bullshit, watch cartoons, whatever. Fighting a war over a plant that's over 12,000 years old, which means, and I quote, you can quote me on this, humans have been indulging in recreational marijuana for over 12,000 years. This drug war is the biggest fucking failure to humankind, okay? This policy has failed. Harry J. Anslinger can go fuck himself. In fact, if I had the opportunity, I would sit on his grave and I would light up a joint. Be like, look at his grave and go, and I would blow it onto his tombstone. And I would take the marijuana cigarette and I would ash on his grave. And be like, this is what you get for your fucking failed policy, you cocksucking racist motherfucker. Okay? Because there's a song I'd like y'all to remember. It's this song. There's a song by Prince E.A., Smoking Weed with the President. Okay? I'm not going to play it because I might get copyright infringement on this video. But Smoking Weed with the President, featuring the artist Prince, capital E, lowercase a. Okay? You check out this song. Okay? And a lot of it was just using racial discrimination and ignorance to spread the fear about a plant that has done nothing more than give people the munchies. People say marijuana cures cancer. Well, now let's look at that for a second. When you have cancer, what happens? You can't eat. You can't sleep. You're in constant pain. And you're depressed because you're dying. Imagine that. You smoke that marijuana, all that THC goes to your cannabinoid receptors in your brain and throughout your entire body. You start to fight off the cancer a little bit each day at a time. And slowly your appetite returns. And you're able to sleep at night, and it kills your pain. Marijuana side effects. Hungry, happy, sleepy, kills the pain. Those 4 side effects for the 3 side effects of cancer, which is depression, loss of appetite, lack of sleep, and pain. Okay? 4 side effects of cancer, 4 side effects of weed. Those 4 side effects, combat them. And how many fucking states are legal right now? 4. Yeah. Really? Now, what's the worst that has happened from a pothead? Oh, I don't know. They get stoned and decide they want to go to Hooters for lunch because they got the munchies. Sounds real fucking evil, doesn't it? Not really, to be honest with you. Anyway, it's KingCobraJFS with another video. A morning video source. Just got out of bed. Rocking the camo pajama bottoms and the deliciously sexy, strong upper physique. Thanks for watching, YouTube, and hope you all have a happy holidays and an awesome new year.